Salute, cheers to everyone. This is episode 2 of the Pursuing the American Dream bodybuilding blog from Cognitive Fitness and Nutrition. I am Coach Chad, of course.
I'm Coach Gabby.
This is Coach Gabby, our nutrition coach here at Cognitive Fitness and Nutrition. Today's episode is going to be covering the last 2 weeks, basically week 5 and 6 for us in our bodybuilding prep. If you haven't already watched our first video, we basically encompass our entire first 4 weeks. This involved a protocol. This involved basically developing systems, agendas, calendars, putting together plans and expectations on how we can better effectively execute our bodybuilding prep. All right, and then we wrap it all up with some of the surprises that hit us. So if you haven't already watched it, please go take a look at that video. And let's go ahead and dive right into today. So I got a couple different topics to bring up that I think are gonna be interesting for our audience. First one, Gabby, is a question I'm gonna pose to you, which is, over the past 2 weeks, so weeks 5 and 6 of our prep, compared to the first 4 weeks, what kind of adaptations, things have you altered in order to better execute on our goals?
I'm giving myself less time to emotionally restrain myself for wanting to do the stuff that need to be done. Basically, what I'm doing, and if you don't know her, just go and watch it. I'm gonna summarize it really quick. It's from Mel Robbins. It's the 5 seconds rule. I come backwards in my head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I just do whatever needs to be done. In this case, for me, have been my steps. Walking, I found myself the very first 2 weeks walking at 9 p.m. for like 30-40 minutes because my job is actually very sedentary, so I didn't have enough time during the day to get it done. And right now what I'm doing is the first thing in the morning when I wake up, I have the blessing of having a treadmill at home. So many mornings, 99% of the mornings, I don't want to do it, but I just in bed tell myself I'm just gonna allow myself 5 seconds of just emotionally going through, I hate this, I don't want to do this, why? And then get up and just do it. So that has been helping, taking action without allowing myself to emotionally get into the rumble of this is so hard, why I'm doing it, or I don't feel like, or I have other things to do, because I can always find other better things to do than what it needs to actually be done. What about you?
That's a really good point though. Just that with life, being an adult, right, being entrepreneurs, there is always things that you could prioritize over others, and things like convenience always kind of stick out to people as just like, hey, I need to do what's most convenient, or I need to give myself convenience in order to be effective or efficient. Convenience isn't always what you need, right? You need structure, you need to follow that plan. No, that's very
What about you? What adaptation changes, habits do you notice these past 2 weeks?
Probably the 2 things that I have implemented or done in the past 2 weeks compared to the first 4 that have been really helpful is in my calendar, I had went in and blocked off exactly when I plan to have my meals. So in my phone, I have now reminders for every single day, including the weekends, which I do adjust my eating schedule a little bit based on the fact that I do wake up a little bit later. I don't have as strict of a schedule to follow. But by doing that, it did help me where on the weekend, let's say not last weekend, I think the weekend prior, I found that I had 2 of my meals so close together that I ended up having a much longer window of time where I wasn't able to eat. And that was an uncomfortable feeling. That was a bit more of a challenge. So I wanna make sure I'm giving myself time between meals I can digest, and also so that I feel a bit fuller, right? So I'm less likely to have an impulsive snack.
You can give also your brain a little bit time to realize, heavy lifting, we are actually certified.
But I think it's a constant evolving, so the adaptations that I've done, that is more, it sounds maybe potentially harmful, but more structure allowed me more freedom psychologically to be able to take action on these things. I mentioned in the first video how important it is to have systems in place and have everything kind of structured so that your brain can concentrate on what you're doing at that time. Because for me, when we're in the kitchen, Gabby knows I prefer to be the only person in the kitchen, because for me, it is such a foreign concept, right? To sit there and to track my food, to measure everything, Because if you're like a lot of people, you're gonna have multiple ingredients going on. You need to measure and track everything. You need to be able to log it into an app. And I need to put it on specific meal times so that our coach, when he pulls up my nutrition, he knows exactly what I ate and when, the ratios. The more detailed I can be in my data collecting, the much more likely I will be successful, because it's not to say you can completely prevent setbacks and failures, but what you can do is you can better handle and mitigate those setbacks and failures with the data and preparation. And also, I just want to throw out this because I'm very proud of it. What you can see here below is some tiles from Home Depot. Now, it looks like Chad went crazy and he started gluing tiles together, linoleum tiles from Home Depot. That's exactly what I did. But this was another adaptation that we threw in that I just want to mention is for Gabby. Because in every category except for bodybuilding, for women, you have to do your posing in heels. So with heels, rubber flooring, which is where we pose in our home for our bodybuilding prep, in front of our mirrors in our home gym, rubber flooring and heels just didn't make sense. It's grippy, it's stiff, she would lose her balance a lot. So I was proactive. I knew that there was a solution here so that she can continue to pose effectively in her heels, which is incredibly important. So I went to Home Depot and grabbed these tiles and put together a little space. Normally it's turned sideways so she can step out to the sides and back and forward to do her quarter turns.
Yep.
But that's the other adaptation that I'm pretty proud of. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Second thing I wanted to bring up is hunger. So in the past 2 weeks, we have had much more significant dictations and changes in our daily macro caloric intake. With hunger, Gabby, the past couple of days was probably the most hungry I've been thus far, right? It makes sense, but how do I know not to? Being hungry is not a comfortable feeling. How do I handle it? What is going on in my body that's making me feel hungry? Or when I am not hungry, is that a bad thing? Because I've also been told it's like being your metabolism's working, that your body's processing food. So there's uncomfortable feelings with it, but if I don't have it, does that mean my body's not processing my food as well, or I'm not burning through my energy?
So
there's a lot there, so feel free to pick and choose.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna cover everything that it can be correlated to the sensations of hunger, because there is psychological aspect into it that needs to be touched, and also physiological aspect. I'm going to make it a very short, simple, just because of this video. And if anybody have or want to dig more into this, please feel free to ask, especially because, and also I'd like to mention this, for NEDA, so it's the National Eating Disorder Association here in the United States, and I would like to spread awareness of many things that sometimes people normalize, and just a little bit of help and information can take you a long way. Okay, with that being said, hunger is not just that uncomfortable feeling that you feel in your stomach when it's been several hours that you haven't eaten. We also have habits that we and they're normalizing, reward our brain for decompressing out of the stressful day that you have at work, or because maybe you feel bored or you feel lonely. So by default, you have adapted this habit of eating in front of the TV, or while you're cooking dinner, you are just snacking around. Well, this is okay for some people because they can have that flexibility to doing this. When you need to be so conscious of where your food sources are coming and how much energy, calories you need to be putting in order to get to the body fat percent want to get, you don't have this option. And what I mean by that is that you need to make the unconscious conscious, and you need to ask yourself several questions. So how I do it to my clients to simplify it is there's the hunger scale that I teach them between the physiological hunger, so the hunger that is actually feeling such as dizziness, nausea, your stomach crawling, you get very irritable, you actually feel like that anything sounds great, like you will eat, that's okay because you just and there is the psychological hunger that is just like very specific craving. You just feel so stressed out, so hungry that you're like, I know that if I eat something, I'm going to chill out, right? So what I tell my clients is when those first urges or cravings or things happens to you, even if you're having certain physiological symptoms such as your stomach growling, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are in fact hungry, that you need to eat right away. That could be that you're just very, very new to, and because your portion sizes might have reduced, your body's adapting. So give yourself a little bit of time, maybe have some water, wait 10 minutes and see if it goes away. Second, life of defense, it will be, and I ask this to my clients all the time, would you eat an apple and a chicken breast right now? And if their answer is yes, I'll tell, okay, maybe you are right. And the reason why I tell this, and I know that for a lot of people, apple and chicken breast sounds delicious, is because a big differentiator between your psychological hunger and your physiological hunger is also the cravings. So if you tell me, well, like I don't feel like cooking right now, I'd rather DoorDash something or Uber Eats, or I really have this protein bar, so because it's protein, I just wanna eat it, or like something very specific. Doesn't matter that you are telling me it is a Caesar salad. You are not in fact that hunger. It is something psychologically that your brain is telling you, hey, when we have been eating this food in the past, it feels like a little nice reward. It calms you down, it makes you feel more comfortable. Maybe that's what you need. No, that's not necessarily. Then we fall back again into the psychological aspect. When we are trying to avoid this discomfort, first for this type of a sport, it's just going to happen. You have to adapt. It is part actually of the sport, feeling physiological hunger, but you won't die because you're still feeding your body certain amount of energy. If you have a good coach, that is going to make sure that you are not just starving yourself to the point that it is really dangerous, like, or
just detrimental to your look, right? Because that in the name, this is bodybuilding, right? So the idea is we're still trying to hold as much muscle as possible, as much lean mass as we can, while reducing body fat. That is I think a unfounded, or learn a little bit about the sport and some of the challenges faced, that they think we're essentially just starving ourselves to the point that, you know, our body's just breaking, falling apart. And it's like, yes, there's a certain point where yes, you have passed all health. Nothing is healthy about the choices anymore. It is for a look. But you're not necessarily, you're not on the concept that you're trying to look your best. You're trying to look your most defined, present a physique that is, you know, yes, for the show, right?
So absolutely, I love that part. So it is hunger aspect of first learning to interpret it. So another tool that I use for my clients and for myself right now is the hunger scale. 1 to 2 is when you actually feel very dizzy, very lightheaded, like you are just, we don't want also to be on that, also be tracked back to what was your live meal component of, or when was your last meal, like timing wise. If to prevent those things, you shouldn't be on the 2 to 3 scale of the hunger scale so early into prep. Then we have 3 to 4, that is mostly like, yes, you feel certain sensation of hunger, but you are fine. It's not like if you don't eat, you are going. And then we just gradually go up a little bit between 7 and 8, and it's like you are not full, but you are also not hungry. And that's the cool thing that we can start to learn and actually be more in tune, because this is something that when I'm transition clients for tracking their food to learning what actually intuitive eating is, the very first thing that we need to learn is our internal hunger scale, because we have a blessing of majority of people probably watching this video that your parents told you when you needed to eat, and they will encourage you to keep eating even sometimes when you were not hungry, and that takes away from us our biologically hunger scale to know when we are actually satisfied or when we have this weird guilt that we gotta finish what is in our plate because that's how we were raised. And you know, as to have more control over those things that are just going to help us to be more in tune with our hunger levels.
Everything seems to go back to our adolescence, right? At least, habits and culturally, it becomes more for family, less about where you grew up, but more encompassed into your family. What was the culture in your family? Did you have one parent that cooked everything that, you just mom cooked, that means everybody eats mom's food, there's no questions? Or was it fend for yourself? Or was it, it's so, that's I think, or the part of being coaches, is learning those things about our clients, helping them understand those things, about their history, where they come from, what they're doing, why they do the things that they do, especially the unconscious behaviors. I always find those very fascinating, because once we can bring them to light, they now become conscious behaviors, and you can make changes if you like, or at least better understand and appreciate what they are. Okay, so we're gonna put this video with basically, I just want you to tell me your win of, and it can be anything. It could be bodybuilding related, it could be economic, it could be what name, give me a win. What came to your mind first? Shoot, short and sweet.
My win of the week is honestly pre-loading my food. That has been huge gamer for me, like change it.
You told me so much about that, huge.
And it's super easy if you have my fitness pal, even other apps. It's just I'm doing my own meal plan in my app based on the stuff that I like, and I just go one day while on the treadmill, in the bathroom, whatever you want. It takes less than 10 minutes, because I also time myself for proof my clients that they could do it. Put all my food that I know I want to have, and I just copy and paste it in the next days. And if I don't feel like eating the next day, something like that, or I don't have time, I course correct, but it's already on my food log, and it takes away the mental stress of figuring it out the next day, what can I eat with my macros.
That makes so much sense. I almost comparing it to like, you're going to, and you essentially have a menu, but it's the food that you're gonna eat. You don't have options so much.
Love that.
It's like, hey, here's what you're gonna eat for the next day. I find it really nice, because I don't love sitting and measuring all of my food, tracking all that information. It doesn't come naturally. It's not enjoyable for me, right? But pre-logging has been a game changer in general for multiple reasons, but that, if I pre-log, and I have an alarm set every night to remind me to do this task, because it's hard to keep up a habit like this when, like I just said, coming natural, I don't enjoy it, is tomorrow, I already have all my food listed. So tomorrow, instead of me getting up and trying to figure out how to make the food in our pantry and in the fridge meet my needs, right? And think on the fly and do it meal by meal, so that by the end of the day, I'm left with 40 grams of protein, no fat, and like 6 grams of, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? Instead, the night before, I spend 20 minutes, if that, logging all my food. So the next day, all I gotta do is pull it up, and I'm like, all right, and I'm just gonna follow the list.
That's it, right?
My win, I think, is we all make choices, or things happen that we don't love, or are things about it we would like to work on. I have found this past week, my win was I did not beat myself up over a setback or shortcoming. There was areas of my life that I always have to basically choose. I can either do this thing or this thing. I cannot do both.
You have a great phrase. Can you say the great phrase?
Acceptance.
Oh man, the one that you have down there. You can be.
Oh, you can.
That's a great phrase.
If you can either, you good, or you can save the world. You cannot do both. So, to me, this phrase means you have to make tough choices. You will have to choose between two things that are important to you, and you will also have to make decisions or have interactions that aren't as favorable. This is being an adult. You're gonna have conversations with people and things that are like, oh, this is uncomfortable, I don't wanna do this, or this just has to be done. I beat myself up a lot about the things that I feel unrealistic goals, that I'm gonna be able to accomplish everything and that my mind brings up and ideas. And that is not reality. This week, my win was I was very accepting of where my limits lie. I was very accepting of the decisions and the actions that I took. For me, that's meditation, baby. Brain gains. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. Leave comments below, questions. Feel free to DM us anytime. Follow us on Instagram for all of your coaching, nutrition, training needs. Until next time, stay swole, America.